You've found Wickett on Wisconsin, your one-stop podcast for all things Packers, Brewers, Bucks, and the rest of your favorite teams from all over the state of Wisconsin. We're powered by Wisconsin Sports Heroics, online at wisportsheroics.com and the Wisconsin Podcast Association. And now, here's your host, Mike Wickett.
Yo, let's get right into it. You have every right to be upset if you're a Green Bay Packers fan after that performance. I will say, of all the losses, and there haven't been a ton of them, we're not talking about being a Jets fan or a Browns fan or a Lions fan or Bears fan, but of all the losses in the, let's call it Aaron Rodgers era or the Matt LaFleur era, that loss to the Jets may have been the single most unenjoyable viewing experience of the last 15 years. Because it's not that, like the curb stomping that they've taken at the hands of the Niners or that one West Coast trip out to take on the Chargers and they just got destroyed. I don't know if I expected all that much out of Green Bay. But coming off the choke job in London, coming back home and knowing LaFleur's record in games after losses, playing a Jets team with a rookie quarterback at Lambeau Field, with all the rookies they've got all over, and we're going to talk a lot about some of those rookies, I expected Green Bay to not only win, but at least, at the very minimum, I guess, look good. And they look like crap. They look like crap. And so for the podcast today, we're basically going to pass around blame. Think about who you blame for the 3-3 start and the fact that the Packers don't look like a good football team. Playoffs started right now. Packers are not in. Neither are the defending AFC champion Cincinnati Bengals. The Jets and Giants would both be in, which is all weird. But if you're a Packers fan and after that game, I mean, Twitter was full of it. And you should be mad. You should be pissed off that your team looked like that and looks like this at this point. Because I'm one of those people that thought and told you, give them time. They'll figure it out. We're 6 games in now. We're not 3 games in. It's not September. They're 3-3. We're watching the Minnesota Vikings go to 5-1. Now, everyone knows the history of Minnesota, but maybe, just maybe, Minnesota's figured it out. You're watching Minnesota go to 5-1 and take a commanding lead in this division. And the Vikings, by the way, have the easiest schedule left in the entire NFL. I mean, there's not a ton of losses left on that Viking schedule. Hopefully one of them is a trip to Lambeau later on this year. But, I mean, I'll start with the head coach, all right? Let's just run through all this because I got to think I broke it down into 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 different people that you might want to blame because you probably have the person you want to blame at the front of your mind and somebody else wants to blame somebody else. So let's just start with, I don't know, the head coach, Matt LaFleur. Who's running this team? The biggest question I think everyone has is who's calling runs and passes and how much autonomy are we really giving Aaron Rodgers and should we give Aaron Rodgers? Or should there be something done by Matt LaFleur to say, here's the play, go run the play. I'm the coach, you're the quarterback. And I realize he's a 4-time MVP and, in my opinion, still the greatest thrower of the football the planet's ever seen. But he's not playing like it right now. He's inaccurate as hell downfield. His thumb is obviously banged up. I'll have more on Rodgers coming up. But does Matt LaFleur have the ability to control Aaron Rodgers? Does Matt LaFleur have the ability to call an entire offensive game plan without Rodgers saying, no, we're doing this? Does he have that ability? It's starting to feel like no. But there's a million problems on this team right now. Last week the prevailing thought from a lot of Packers fans was just run the ball, you'll be fine. Just run the ball. Give the ball to Aaron Jones. And we heard Matt LaFleur, if you remember, last week when Matt LaFleur went to the podium and said, this is a quote from the game after the press conference after the Giants game. What's wrong with me? When Aaron Jones has 13 carries, it's hard to sit up here and justify that. That was music to my ears last week. When you've got a talented backfield like you've got with Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon, I got more to say about A.J. Dillon coming up. It's your job as the head coach to get them the ball, right? You are the one that's going to call plays, whether they're designed pass plays to those guys or you're going to stick the ball in the belly of your running backs. That's on the play caller. That's on Matt LaFleur. Matt LaFleur, yesterday, after the Jets game, when Aaron Jones had 3 carries and 1 catch, he had 4 touches in the first half. The guy that you said you can't justify when he doesn't get enough touches. Your words, not mine, yours. He said that's not good enough. Then who's the one calling the plays? Who's the one demanding that Aaron Jones get the football? The head coach? Who's running this team? And there was a bunch of stuff that Matt LaFleur said after the game. Literally the same stuff over and over and over and over again. You know, the whole, I've got to coach better, we've got to practice better, we've got to work harder, we have to hold everybody accountable. Literally all the same stuff that all we ever heard from Matt LaFleur. He'll bring up the quotes. It's all the same stuff. No urgency, no change, no nothing. You know, the next game coming up against the Commanders. Are they going to get Aaron Jones 20 touches, 22 touches? If you've ever listened to my podcast before, you know my magic number for him is 22. 22 touches for Aaron Jones, and the Packers win like 90% of the games. Now, that's when they had Devontae Adams on the field for most of those games. I watched his one-on-one with Larry McCarron from Packers.com. Here, I'll sum it up for you. It's humbling. We battled. Too many mistakes. Got a long way to go. Lots to clean up. Got away from our plant. That's my fault. We've got to coach better, play better, get back to work, put them in better positions, execute, clean up details, get back to practicing, blah, 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 blah. I've heard it all. I've heard it all from Matt LaFleur. I've heard that. And nothing this season has changed. Who's in charge? Who's in charge of that offensive line? I know it's Adam Stenavich. But if you watch that football game, you watch that right side of the line. You watch the entire offensive line get beat up for most part. But the right side of the offensive line with Quinnen Williams and some other guys that I'm not a Jets fan. I'm not going to tell you everybody on that defensive line. But they beat up Royce Newman. And they beat up Elton Jenkins. And their grades were so bad. How can you allow this to continue to happen? We have watched Royce Newman suck at guard since week 1 against the Vikings. And it's just been the same thing. We've watched Elton Jenkins struggle because of mobility at right tackle. Why not make a change? I mean, they did try. I mean, they pulled out Royce Newman, put in Jake Hansen, of all people. Jake Hansen got hurt. They put Royce Newman back in. Slide Jenkins over, put Josh Nijman over there at right tackle. Problem solved. I know, and we're going to talk about Gutekunst here later too, and I know that everybody wants Gutekunst to go out and grab DJ Moore or bring in whoever sign OBJ. None of that is going to matter if the Packers can't fix the offensive line. It doesn't matter how good DJ Moore is or if OBJ can take the top off a defense. None of it's going to matter if they don't fix the offensive line first. Bottom line, it does not matter. They don't pass block for Rodgers. Rodgers is getting beaten up. More on Rodgers coming up in a second. They don't pass block for Rodgers. They don't run block very well against physical fronts. I mean, that offensive line got pushed around. And Robert Saleh talked about body blows for 4 quarters. It sure was body blows for 4 quarters. It absolutely was. They don't pass block well. They don't run block well, especially on that right side. LaFleur's got to step in and get Adam Stenavich to make the change. Unless he just can make the change himself, which he should be able to, he's the head coach. Who's running this team? So it's on LaFleur. It's on the quarterback, too. It's on Aaron Rodgers. I mean, if your thumb cannot, if because of your thumb, You can't get the ball down the field? You got to say something. And I'm not going to sit here and advocate that Jordan Love gives them a better chance to win against the Commanders or the Lions or whoever else they face, the Bills coming up on Sunday Night Football in a week and a half or 2 weeks. But if you can't throw the football, what good are you? I mean, they showed flashes on there was one drive, and it wasn't even the Lazard touchdown drive. There was one drive where the Packers actually looked like the offense that we saw when Rodgers was running it like a maestro a week ago. We didn't see it very much. Aaron can't throw the ball down the field for whatever reason right now. Whether it's the thumb, whether it's that guys aren't running the right routes, whether it's not maybe it's the youth and the chemistry thing. But remember the wheel route to Aaron Jones along the right sideline, and he was open. He beat his man. First of all, Romeo Doubs also beat his man on the left side. We know Aaron would prefer to throw the ball to Aaron Jones. We understand that. But Jones is running straight down the sideline. If Jones doesn't jump up and try to catch that ball, it's 6 feet out of bounds. I mean, he literally threw Aaron Jones out of the route, and it was an incomplete pass. What's happened to Aaron Rodgers throwing the ball down the field with accuracy? It's gone. Is it the thumb? I don't know. But he was inaccurate before this thumb injury. It's one of the many questions, man. And here's another thing, too. Aaron Rodgers is now a statue. Where are Aaron's legs? If he's at this point in his career, at his age, at 38, that he cannot run, okay. But that is a big factor. There were several times when Rodgers could have taken off rolling out and picked up positive yardage, even first downs. He's not a threat to run anymore. He's not a threat at all to run. He's a statue. He's Tom Brady. He can move out of the pocket a little bit, but he's not a threat to go vertically like he used to be. That's on Aaron. And maybe that's not on something Aaron can control. Maybe his legs aren't there. Maybe he's old. Maybe he's worried about getting hit out in the open field. But it's not the same when the 4-time MVP can't run. He'll give you one every so often, but he's not a threat. You know, this is also on Joe Barry. You had Zach Wilson. He was had the worst completion percentage in the National Football League against the blitz. The worst. They didn't blitz very much. Now, luckily, they were able to get home a little bit with their front, but they didn't blitz very much. If you blitz that young quarterback, maybe he throws the ball up. Maybe he turns the ball over. The Packers are in the bottom 5 in the NFL at turning the ball over on defense. How is that possible? A lot of that has to do with their soft zone that they were playing early in the year. You actually saw Joe Barry say to his corners, I trust you to play against these Jets wide receivers. You finally saw faith in Douglas and Stokes and in Jair. And there are a couple times they got beat. But I would much rather see you blitz a quarterback and let those guys play on islands because they're all talented with safety help than that soft zone crap we saw. The defense played all right. The pass defense was real good in this game. They just got beat up front. That happened against the Bears. You can run on the Green Bay Packers. You can. They play a lot of light boxes. They play a lot of nickel. They play a lot of zone. There's a lot of space out there. And if you can block up front, you can pick up yardage. Look, again, blame going all around. It's on Aaron. It's on LaFleur. It's on Barry. I'm going to get to Brian Gutekunst here in just a quick second. Shout out to one of our sponsors, Nick Packard, NP Connect. It's the marketing agency redefined. Hey, listen, if you are a small business owner or a medium-sized business owner and you're trying to figure out how do I get myself seen digitally, a.k.a. the internet, the interweb, the information superhighway, and you're like, man, I gotta figure out how to get myself seen, contact my guy, Nick Packard. He's right there in Franklin, Wisconsin. He's a frustrated Packers fan just like you. NickPackard.com is going to help out your SEO, which is your search engine optimization. So when I type in something for Google, maybe it's your product, how often or how quickly will I see your product come up with your website, your link, your Facebook page? Or are you 2 pages down? who likes to scroll. That's where Nick can help you out. They can get your trackable marketing, boom, lifted all the way to the top. They're going to help you out so you can get seen, so you can make more money. And the cool thing is, A, you work with Nick directly. There's not a layer of people and bosses and sub-bosses and interns. It's you and Nick. The second thing is he's fractional. You only pay for the time you need. How about that? So he fits your budget. Small business, medium-sized business. If you're looking to up your digital marketing game, contact my guy, Nick Packard. NickPackard.com. And just for listening to the podcast, tell him you heard it on Wickett on Wisconsin. They're going to give you a free digital ecosystem assessment to anybody like you who wants an outsider's perspective on their website, their socials, their email marketing. Go online today, NickPackard.com. Tell him you heard it on the podcast, please. NickPackard.com. I believed in the plan, by the way. I believed in the plan. I thought this was going to be the year. I know Davante Adams is gone, and I'm not here to talk about this or that. I don't want to live in the past about who they could have drafted. I think people who still dwell on the Jordan Love draft pick or the Davante Adams thing, that's in the past. This is what's happening now. And I believed in the plan. I believed in the fact that finally no Davante and Rodgers and company are going to focus on a Matt LaFleur offense. And I trust in Gutekunst. He brought in Sam Watkins. He got him Cobby a year ago. The young receivers will take time. But the plan's not working. The plan is definitely not working. Now, the plan might be working better if the offensive line was fixed, and the plan might be working if Joe Barry's defense was more aggressive against rookie or second-year quarterbacks, and the plan might be more aggressive if they made the right substitution on the offensive line. But right now, Brian Gutekunst's plan is not working, and I don't know what the next phase of the plan is because Green Bay is in danger of not making the playoffs. Green Bay is in danger of watching Minnesota run away with the NFC North. I don't know what Brian Gutekunst can do, and I know the answer for you might be go sign OBJ. I don't know where Odell Beckham Jr. is in his rehab right now. Okay, go trade for DJ Moore. All right, fine. That's not going to solve all the problems. It'll help, and I'm on board with it, totally on board with it. The cool thing, too, is I think the Panthers are on the hook for all of DJ Moore's $14 million on the cap. But Brian Gutekunst had this plan coming in, and the plan's not working. This is on the GM. You know, his rookies so far, the first 4 players drafted, Devontae Wyatt doesn't always suit up. Quay Walker looks like a rookie. The over-pursuit play on that big Breece Hall run, that's not what an NFL player does. He's a rookie. I'm not making excuses. This is just what it is. Devontae Wyatt barely suits up. Quay Walker looks like he's got a long way to go. All right, how about Christian Watson? Missed 2 games with hamstring injuries, might get shut down for 3 more. That's frustrating. And Romeo Doubs. Romeo Doubs looked great in the preseason. Romeo Doubs looked like the next breakout star. We call him Baby Devontae because he was lighting up guys who are selling insurance right now, guys who are working at used car salesmen, guys who are littered all over practice squads right now. That's who Romeo Doubs lit up. I'm not saying Doubs can't be good next year, 2 years from now, 3 years from now. I'm not saying he can't be great, but he and Watson right now, they're not it. And maybe the plan has to be adjusted. Maybe the Packers do need to go to the well and try to find somebody. I don't know who else is going to be available. Everybody's talking about OBJ, DJ Moore from the Panthers, Robbie Anderson. I don't know if that's your answer, but he's a take the top off the defense kind of guy. And I just saw him fighting with this position coach, and he was banished to the locker room in the middle of the game. And the Panthers just fired their head coach, so things are in disarray down there. Maybe that's the move. I don't know. Maybe that move is happening right now. I have no idea. Because the answer is not Juwan Winfrey. And the answer is not Samari Toure. And right now, the answer is not Christian Watson, even though I'm a massive Christian Watson fan. And the answer is not Romeo Doubs. The answer is not Randall Cobb. You saw the tears in his eyes when he busted his ankle. I don't know if he's going to be coming back. And the answer is not Sammy Watkins, who's out for another couple weeks. So what's the answer? Throw to Robert Tonyan 48 times a game? I mean, this all gets solved if they're able to block. They can't run block for Aaron Jones. They can't run block for A.J. Dillon. They can't run block for anybody. They can't pass block for Rodgers. And all of a sudden, something that hadn't been a problem all year, all of a sudden was against the Jets. You know what happened? They got beat up on special teams at the line of scrimmage. It's the same story. Punt block, field goal block. Special teams had actually, considering where this team was a year ago, special teams has actually been a bright spot for this football team. With the offense struggling to maintain any rhythm, and Aaron being off, and the defense being soft, special teams had been, outside of Amari Rodgers not being very good at returning punts, but special teams had been pretty good. There hadn't been any complete disasters like we saw over and over and over and over until the Jets game, until Robert Saleh's physical team came in and pushed Green Bay around. I got more on the Jets here in just a second because I think something happened yesterday that it can't happen. Real quick, want to remind you, thanks to another one of our great sponsors, and that is Great Lakes Dragaway in Union Grove, Wisconsin. You know the phrase, I feel the need for speed. Well, that was back this summer, thanks to Top Gun Maverick. But if you're one of those people who love speed, you got to go see my friends at Great Lakes Dragaway in Union Grove, Wisconsin. All right, so we had some snow in Wisconsin. I don't know how many more days they're going to be open, if that snow's going to go away, melt, but what is important is spring is coming. What's important is Christmas is coming. And what's important is you take care of that racing fan on your Christmas list, all right? Go to GreatLakesDragaway.com because, of course, next year they're going to have nitrous nights, and they're going to have hot rod nights, and they're going to have truck nights and bike nights. It's great family entertainment at GreatLakesDragaway.com. And if you have a gearhead, a racing fan on your Christmas list, get them a gift card today. They'll love you for it. GreatLakesDragaway.com. GreatLakesDragaway.com. It is the fastest quarter mile in the Midwest. They've been a sponsor of mine for a long time. Friends with those guys. They are fantastic. Find that gift card. It's a good gift for somebody who's who's a gearhead who loves watching trucks and cars and bikes go down the track. Or if you want to race, GreatLakesDragaway.com. Get all your info and a full schedule. GreatLakesDragaway.com. Before I get to the Jets, there's another group of players this is on, or another group of people this is on, and that's the players. All right? Players have to play better. Who is playing better right now, individually, aside from guys coming back from injury? Because obviously Robert Tonyan is playing better right now than we saw last year. Obviously David Bakhtiari is playing better now, although questionable, but better than last year because he was out. But who's playing better through the first 6 games than they were last year? I can think of Rashawn Gary at the end of the list. The special teams unit up until yesterday, up until the Jets game. Is anybody else in your mind playing better than they were last year? I can't think of one. It's depressing on the defensive side because, I guess Jair is playing as well. He was in, he was out. He was out for a lot of last year. Rasul Douglas not playing as well as he did last year. Eric Stokes not as good as he was last year. Adrian Amos playing as well as last year. Darnell Savage, I don't have high expectations for. I would say not playing better than last year. But the guy who's really, Kenny Clark probably, but I'm not the guy to sit down and break down interior lineman play. But I can tell you one guy who's definitely not playing better than last year, and that's the guy who got paid in the offseason. Last year was an all-pro. He was a nobody before the year began, and that's Devondre Campbell. This is on defense. Devondre Campbell missed 4 tackles last year. 4. He's missed 9 so far through 6 games. Devondre Campbell was a monster last year, and now he's an above-average inside linebacker. Guys have to step this. We can blame coaches and GMs, and we can blame all these, special teams units. But players have to play better. Devondre Campbell is not playing better than last year. Most of the offense not playing better than last year. And you needed guys to step up in a year where there's a lot of moving parts, and we're in a transition period potentially for Green Bay, especially the first half of this year. You needed guys to play better. And very few players are playing better than a year ago. I think Rashawn Gary might be it. Offensively, the offensive line is not playing better than last year. Bakhtiari is because he wasn't there. You need guys to play better when you're facing adversity. Rodgers certainly needs to play better. I don't know if he can play better than last year, but I need him better than whatever this is. A.J. Dillon. Let's talk about A.J. Dillon here for a second. Yeah, the offensive line isn't blocking for either of these two running backs very well right now. But watch A.J. Dillon. And A.J. Dillon is a big dude. I love A.J. Dillon. He's one of my favorite players on this team. I've got an A.J. Dillon jersey. But A.J. Dillon is doing nothing to help this organization currently. Watch him run. For whatever reason, A.J. Dillon is a bigger dude. He needs an extra half step, I think, to get up to speed. Here's a question I have for Matt LaFleur. Why are we lining up Aaron Rodgers in the gun next to A.J. Dillon and handing the ball off to A.J. Dillon 5 yards deep in the end zone and then having him try to slam through that offensive line? And the second, get him behind Rodgers and get some momentum going when you give him the football. And the second thing about A.J. Dillon is this. That is a north and south runner, all right? Do you know what I'm so sick and tired of seeing? I am sick and tired of seeing A.J. Dillon stutter, plant, left, right, hesitate, like he's almost scared to hit a hole or there isn't a hole there. A.J. Dillon needs the ball in his belly, moving forward like the juggernaut, running people over. Easier said than done against that Jets team. But A.J. Dillon's not a shifty guy. And I don't know if he's running scared. I don't know if he's hesitant. I don't know if he's nervous. He had a fumble yesterday that the Packers lost. But this is not the same A.J. Dillon that I have seen. Hit the hole, run over people. That's your job. Get to that second level and go. Because this A.J. Dillon is not what we've seen in the past. Hesitant. No, you're not a shifty back. Get him the ball going forward. He's tough to bring down when he's at full speed. I'm going to close with this. So after the game at Lambeau, the Packers get embarrassed by the New York Jets. Two things happen in this game that the Packers players should be absolutely offended by, upset with, embarrassed by. First of all, Breece Hall did the Lambeau leap. Breece Hall doing the Lambeau leap. Breece Hall scored, ran through your defense, got into the end zone, and then up onto the ledge and did the Lambeau leap. That should not happen in your building ever, all right? It was a Jets party. It was a New York Jets party at Lambeau Field at that point because they knew at that moment they were out physicaling you. They knew at that moment the body shots were working. They knew at that moment there was nothing Green Bay could do. Breece Hall jumps into the crowd and does his own Lambeau leap with Jets fans. The Jets jump. And the other thing that happened, and Sauce Gardner is the real deal, at least so far. But Sauce Gardner walking around on the field with a cheese head on his head. Shout out to Alan Lazard for knocking it off. But you should be embarrassed as an organization that a rookie came in and a rookie destroyed your passing game in the secondary and a rookie put on the cheese head and marched around like I just came in and owned your stadium. That picture should be put up in that locker room. Before every home game, every Packers player should see that and know that they got punked by a rookie in Green Bay at Lambeau Field. And what are you going to do about it? I hope they're as mad. I hope they're mad inside those walls, as mad as you are, as mad as I am, as frustrated as we all are. And I don't know what the heck the next change. If they lose to the Commanders, it's over. Season is in the toilet. It is. You can't lose to a team that beat the Bears 12-7. Maybe you can. Who knows what's going to happen? We've never seen the Packers after 2 losses under Matt LaFleur. That's never happened. Just an unbelievable effort in one of the least enjoyable Packers games I have ever watched in my entire life. And blame goes everywhere. But it all starts with the offensive line. That is number one, guys. That is number one. You fix the offensive line, you fix a lot of stuff. You block for Rodgers, he's better. You block for Jones, he's better. LaFleur's got to get the ball into, the play call, into Aaron, and he and Aaron have to get the ball to Aaron Jones. You block for him, you block for Dylan, things are going to open up, but it starts with the offensive line. It starts by ending the Royce Newman experience, moving Jenkins to guard, and putting Nyman over there on the right side. Nyman. That's it. You keep Aaron Rodgers upright, even this Aaron Rodgers with the bad thumb, he's going to have more time to make better throws. You get two guys in there that can open up a hole or two for Aaron Jones, they're going to be fine. I hope they're as mad as you are. I hope they're as mad as I am. And I hope they come out and kick the snot out of the Commanders. Because if they don't, and I don't care if they win by 1 or 30, don't care. Win. Packers fans need a win because that was the worst football game I've watched at Lambeau Field in a while. So unhappy watching that game. All right. I have cleansed. I hope you have enjoyed the podcast. If you would do me a favor, and please like the podcast, please rate the podcast, please share the podcast, please do all those things. Help me grow the podcast. That's how it is. And support our sponsors, Great Lakes Dragaway, and also nickpackard.com to grow your digital marketing for your small and your local business. Need anything? wisportsheroics.com. Those guys are churning out content constantly. wisportsheroics.com. Thank you for checking out Wickett on Wisconsin. My name is Mike Wickett. We'll do it again next week and hopefully talking about a win. Maybe we'll do another one later on this week. Buck season opening up. We got a lot to get to. Have a great day. Thanks for checking out the pod. I appreciate it. As always, go Pack, go Bucks, and go Brewers.